For those of us who have watched this show since the 90s, what happened today was a direct slap in the face to decades of history. We have seen our fair share of master manipulators walk the streets of Port Charles, from the chilling days of Helena Cassadine pulling strings from the shadows, to the ruthless reign of Cesar Faison leaving a trail of absolute devastation. But the sheer, unadulterated psychological torture that Jen Sidwell is currently inflicting upon Jordan Ashford is on a completely different level of cruelty. It makes those legendary villains look like amateurs playing a parlor game. We are witnessing the systematic destruction of a woman who has spent years building her reputation, her career, and her life, only to have it all ripped away by a mastermind who knows exactly where to strike. Guys, the current landscape of Port Charles is nothing short of a chaotic nightmare, and if you ask me, the writers are pushing our beloved characters to the absolute brink of their sanity. We all know that Jordan Ashford has been fighting tooth and nail to reclaim her rightful place. She has been meticulously working behind the scenes, gathering every single shred of evidence she can find to ensure her reinstatement as deputy mayor. We have watched her burn the midnight oil, poring over case files, and connecting the invisible dots that no one else could see. Her ultimate goal has been crystal clear: to finally put Jen Sidwell behind bars where he belongs, and to rid the city of his toxic, suffocating influence once and for all. Jordan was so close. She could practically taste the victory. The clues were finally aligning, the paper trail was solidifying, and the long-buried secret of Sidwell's criminal empire was on the verge of being dragged into the harsh light of day. However, as we all know in the world of soap operas, just when a heroine thinks she has the upper hand, the ground crumbles beneath her feet. Jordan recently made a horrifying discovery regarding the brutal attack on Isaiah. Initially, everyone, including the Port Charles Police Department, was led to believe that the assault was just a random act of violence, a tragic consequence of a sudden, impulsive fit of rage. But Jordan, with her brilliant investigative mind, dug deeper. She peeled back the layers of deception and realized with absolute terror that the attack on Isaiah was not random at all. It was a calculated surgical strike. It was a dark, twisted message designed specifically for her. Sidwell orchestrated the entire bloody ordeal to rattle her cage, to show her that he could touch anyone she cared about, and to begin his masterful plan of destroying her from the inside out. He wanted her to feel the crushing weight of guilt, knowing that innocent blood was being spilled simply because she dared to challenge him. But that's not even the craziest part. The true horror of Sidwell's grand design involves someone far closer to Jordan's heart: Curtis Ashford. While Jordan has been busy playing a high-stakes game of chess with a sociopath, Curtis has unwittingly become a pawn on the very same board. Sidwell, in his infinite dark wisdom, recognized that the easiest way to break a strong woman is to use the man she loves against her. Without Curtis even realizing it, Sidwell has been pulling his strings, manipulating his protective instincts, and maneuvering him into the most dangerous corners of the criminal underworld. Curtis, always the hero, always trying to protect his family and his business, walked blindly into a meticulously laid trap. He thought he was making independent choices, acting as the savvy private investigator and club owner we all know him to be. Instead, every move he made was anticipated, guided, and weaponized by Sidwell. It is absolutely agonizing to watch a man as smart and capable as Curtis be played for an absolute fool, completely unaware of the invisible noose tightening around his neck. But that's not even the craziest part. Just as Jordan is preparing to deliver the final fatal blow to Sidwell's operation, just as she is about to hand over the undeniable proof that would not only secure her position as deputy mayor, but also lock Sidwell away for multiple lifetimes, the villain plays his ultimate trump card. Sidwell approaches Jordan with a bombshell that completely shatters her reality. He does not threaten her life, he threatens Curtis's freedom. Sidwell reveals a fabricated yet flawlessly executed mountain of evidence that directly implicates Curtis in a series of severe federal crimes. We are talking about the kind of evidence that leaves no room for reasonable doubt: planted financial records, manipulated surveillance footage, and forged signatures that would guarantee Curtis spends the rest of his natural life in a maximum security federal prison. Sidwell lays this jaw-dropping twist right on Jordan's desk and forces her into the most devastating ultimatum of her entire life. She must make a choice that will wreak devastation on her soul, regardless of what she decides. Does she save the man she loves, burn the evidence against Sidwell, and forfeit her career and her sworn duty to protect the city? Or does she push forward, expose the criminal network, reclaim her power, and watch as Curtis is handcuffed and taken away forever? The sheer agony of this decision is tearing Jordan apart piece by piece. But that's not even the craziest part. The absolute climax of this heartbreaking saga, the moment that will leave every single fan screaming at their television screens, is when the truth finally comes out in the worst possible way. Curtis discovers the trap, but he does not just discover that Sidwell set him up, he discovers that Jordan knew about it. He finds out that the woman he trusted implicitly, the woman who knows firsthand how much he despises being lied to, had uncovered a significant portion of Sidwell's trap days ago and chose to keep it a secret from him. For Curtis, this is the ultimate, unforgivable betrayal. If you have been following Curtis's journey, you know his history, you know the deep, lingering trauma he carries from the years of lies he endured regarding Trina's paternity. Honesty is not just a preference for Curtis, it is a fundamental requirement for his love and his loyalty. When he looks into Jordan's eyes and sees the guilt, when he realizes that she withheld information that directly threatened his life and his freedom, something inside him simply breaks. The confrontation between them is nothing short of explosive. It is a masterclass in emotional devastation. Jordan tries to explain, her voice trembling with desperation, that she was only trying to protect him. She tries to make him understand the impossible weight of the burden she was carrying, how she was frantically trying to find a loophole, a way to save both him and the city without triggering Sidwell's wrath, but her words fall on deaf ears. Curtis's face turns to stone. The warmth, the affection, the deep bond that they have fought so hard to rebuild over the years evaporates in an instant, replaced by a cold, impenetrable wall of anger and betrayal. In the exact moment when Jordan needs him the most, when her career is hanging by a frayed thread, when a ruthless criminal mastermind is breathing down her neck, and when she is emotionally bleeding out on the floor, Curtis turns his back on her and walks away. This jaw-dropping twist leaves Jordan entirely isolated in a war zone. She is standing alone in the wreckage of her personal and professional life. The tragedy is almost too much to bear. She sacrificed her own peace of mind to shield him, and in return, she lost him completely. Now, Jordan is facing a seemingly insurmountable mountain. She cannot just give up. She is Jordan Ashford, a woman of immense strength and resilience. She must now fight a two-front war. On one side, she has to find a way to outmaneuver Sidwell, to dismantle his blackmail scheme, and to clear Curtis's name without compromising her own integrity or losing her chance at the deputy mayor's office. On the other side, she has to prevent Curtis, who is now blindingly angry and operating without her guidance, from doing something reckless. Because we all know Curtis, when he is hurt and feeling cornered, he takes matters into his own hands. And if he goes after Sidwell alone, fueled by rage and a sense of betrayal, he will be walking right into the fatal jaws of the trap Sidwell has been waiting to spring. The stakes have never been higher, guys. The ripple effects of this storyline are going to touch every corner of Port Charles. If Sidwell can successfully manipulate the incoming deputy mayor and frame one of the city's most prominent businessmen, no one is safe. We already know from the whispers around town that Sidwell has his sights set on bigger targets. He is laying traps for Laura Collins, trying to undermine her authority as mayor. He is circling Sonny Corinthos, looking for a weakness in the mob boss's armor. He is even targeting Lucas Jones. Sidwell is a virus, and right now, Jordan is the only antibody with a fighting chance to stop him. But how can she fight an enemy who is always 10 steps ahead, especially when she has been stripped of her most vital ally? The psychological depth of this narrative is astounding. The writers are forcing us to ask ourselves what we would do in Jordan's shoes. Would you sacrifice the love of your life for the greater good? Would you compromise your morals to save an innocent man from a framed conviction? Jordan's internal monologue must be a cacophony of screaming doubts and terrifying what-ifs. Every time she looks at the evidence file, she sees Curtis behind bars. Every time she thinks about burying it, she sees Sidwell's smug, victorious smile knowing he owns her. It is a brilliant, terrifying catch, tutu that highlights the absolute genius of a true soap opera storyline. And as for Curtis, my heart aches for him, but I am also screaming at him to open his eyes. Yes, Jordan lied. Yes, she kept the secret. But she did it because she was staring down the barrel of a gun aimed directly at his head. His inability to see past his own rigid demands for total transparency might be the very thing that gets him killed or locked away. His pride is blinding him to the reality that Sidwell is the true enemy here, not Jordan. By pushing her away, he is giving Sidwell exactly what he wants: a divided front. Divide and conquer is the oldest strategy in the Book of Warfare, and Sidwell is executing it with terrifying precision. As we look toward the horizon of next week's episodes, the tension is suffocating. Jordan is going to have to dig into the darkest, most ruthless parts of her own soul if she wants to survive this She might have to cross lines she swore she would never cross. She might have to make a deal with the devil, perhaps reaching out to someone like Sonny Corinthos or even Valentine Cassadine for off the books assistance, because playing by the rules of the law is exactly what Sidwell is counting on her to do. The law is currently his weapon, and Jordan needs to find a shield that the law cannot provide. We are left breathless, staring at the screen, wondering how this tangled web will ever be unraveled. The emotional toll on both Jordan and Curtis is going to leave permanent scars. Even if they manage to survive Sidwell's reign of terror, even if Jordan gets her job back and Curtis avoids a prison sentence, how do they ever repair the trust that was shattered in that room? Can Curtis ever forgive her for playing God with his life? Can Jordan ever forgive him for abandoning her in her darkest hour? These are the questions that will keep us up at night, obsessively analyzing every look, every sigh, and every spoken word between them. And just when you think Jordan has hit rock bottom, just when she is sitting alone in her dimly lit office, tears streaming down her face, clutching the forged documents that could ruin the man she loves, her burner phone rings. She wipes her eyes, takes a shaky breath, and answers it, expecting to hear the taunting voice of Jen Sidwell demanding her final answer. But the voice on the other end isn't Sidwell. It's a voice she hasn't heard in a very long time, a voice that sends an absolute chill down her spine and changes the entire trajectory of the game. "Hello, Jordan," the mysterious voice whispers. "I hear you have a Sidwell problem, and I have the solution. But it is going to cost you everything."